Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of my main series.
欢迎来到王者荣耀，全军出击。
And in this video, I'm going to break down one of the most requested Clash laners, Mayene. I initially planned to cover other Clash laners like Mulan and Lee Xin first, but after seeing so many comments asking for Mayene, I decided to cover her. Mayene is a poke with sustain type Clash laner, and she's one of the strongest and most meta picks right now. She's quite different and unique because of how her skill set works, and the reason I call her a poke and sustain hero is because she has enough mobility to poke safely, run away without losing much HP, and she almost never needs to recall unless she gets killed. That alone makes her stand out from most other laners. And her skill set is actually very simple, but people still struggle to play her, and that's mainly because of her combos and how you're supposed to chain her skills properly. That's why in this video I will go into as much detail as possible when explaining her combos. So please watch this video till the end if you truly want to master her, because I'm going to break down all her skills in depth and share every tip and trick I know about her. But before I start the breakdown, please make sure to both like and hype this video up. So without any further ado, let's roll the intro. As usual, we're first going to discuss her passive, and then move on to her skills and ultimate. According to Mayene's passive, she doesn't have a mana bar. If you look below her HP bar, you'll see 4 segments, 2 yellow and 2 blue. So what do they mean, and does the difference in color have any significance in her overall mechanics? Well, yes. These segments are called strength. The yellow segments represent punch strength, and the blue ones represent kick strength. Whenever Mayene uses her skill 1, she consumes yellow strength, and when she uses her skill 2, she consumes blue strength. In simple words, these segments represent the cooldown of her skills. If she doesn't have any strength charges left, she won't be able to cast the corresponding skill until the charges fully regenerate. Each strength segment regenerates over time after being consumed, and each skill can store up to 2 charges. But that's not the only thing about her passive, there's more. In most heroes' cases, when you stop doing anything in the game and stay still, the system assumes you're AFK and may punish you. But with Mayene, it's the opposite. When she stands still and does absolutely nothing, she enters a resting state, and instead of punishing her, the game actually rewards her. While she is in this resting or this idle state, her skill 2's cooldown speed is increased by 25%, and she also regenerates HP over time. But she won't remain in this resting state forever. There are 5 actions that instantly pull her out of it: moving, casting any skill, using basic attacks, taking damage, and using her ultimate. Doing any of these removes her from the idle state automatically. If you want her to enter her idle state manually, the easiest way is simply to go AFK, but I don't literally mean that you quit the game, I'm saying that you just stay still. But that takes a few seconds before she actually switches into idle mode. If you want her to enter the idle state instantly, you need to avoid those 5 conditions I mentioned before and just tap on this resting skill. Yes, unlike other heroes, Mayene doesn't have the standard HP recovery skill we usually get by default. Instead, she has a resting skill. When you tap it, she instantly restores a small amount of HP and immediately enters her idle state, where she begins regenerating even more health. So if you're low on HP, then instead of simply recalling back to the base, find a safe bush, hide for a moment, activate your resting skill, and recover while waiting for an enemy to overextend, then punish them by catching them completely off guard. And that's everything about her passive. Now let's move on to her skill 1. As for Mayene's first skill, it functions differently depending on whether there are any targets within her range, or if she's using it in an empty area. First, if there are no targets such as minions, jungle monsters, or enemy heroes within her skill range, then using her skill 1 for the first phase simply makes her sprint in the aimed direction. If you use her skill 1 again, meaning the second phase, she will once again sprint forward in the targeted direction. So basically, when there are no valid targets within her skill 1 range, pressing skill 1 just makes her run forward, regardless of whether it's the first or second phase. But things change when there are targets inside her range. If you cast your skill 1 while a target is inside the skill indicator, Mayene dashes forward and pulls the enemy toward herself, dealing damage to them. When you use this skill for the second time, consuming her second charge of yellow strength, Mayene leaps into the air and delivers a heavy slam onto the target, dealing damage and knocking them up within the area of the skill 1 indicator. And yes, as I mentioned earlier, you can only perform the slam when you first hit a valid target such as a minion, jungle monster, or enemy hero with the first phase of skill 1. But that's not all. There are actually 2 very useful tricks related to her skill 1, and both require the flash spell to perform properly. The first trick is about reducing the delay caused by distance. As you know, when you use Mayene's skill 1 on a nearby target, she instantly grabs them and deals damage. But if the enemy is far away, Mayene first runs all the way to them and then grabs them. This extra travel time can slow down your engage, especially in a crucial moment. So is there a way to reduce that delay? Yes. What you can do is activate skill 1 first, and immediately flash closer to the target. By doing this, Mayene won't need to run. She will instantly grab them and deal damage the moment you flash into range. This saves a noticeable amount of time, and can help you secure kills or prevent enemies from escaping. But keep in mind that flash has a very long cooldown, so only use this trick when it will bring real value. Otherwise, you might end up wasting your spell for nothing. The second trick is the one you'll be using more often. In most matches, tanky or sustained heroes stand at the front line to protect their squishy damage dealers, who we call the backline. This makes it difficult for Mayene to reach the enemy's backline to land her big slam, which is usually her main job as a clash laner during teamfights. So what can you do if an annoying frontline keeps blocking your path? You can turn that frontline into your stepping stone. First, use your skill 1 on the frontline tank to initiate. Then activate the second phase to leap into the air for your slam. And right before you land the slam, flash toward the enemy backline. This redirects your slam toward the real priority target, the squishy damage dealers, allowing you to crash onto them with a heavy knockout blow. This trick is extremely useful and something you'll find yourself doing way more often than the first one, and that's everything about her skill 1. Now let's move on to her skill 2. Mayene's second skill, just like her first skill, behaves differently depending on whether there are targets within range or not. If there are no targets, meaning you're using skill 2 in an empty area, then all she will do is flip, even if you use skill 2 twice in a row. But if there are targets within her range, then using the first phase of skill 2 makes her flip forward in a jumping motion. During this motion, she enters a super armor state, which means she cannot be interrupted by any control effects or crowd control, but she can still take damage. In this first phase, she also gains damage reduction and HP recovery. And yes, she can literally flip over most walls on the map with this ability. When you use the second phase of her skill 2, Mayene delivers a kick to the designated target, dealing damage to them. After the kick, she flips again and leaps up into the air. One thing you must remember is that the direction of this second jump is entirely controlled by your movement joystick. This means it is completely up to you which direction she flips toward. You can move backward, forward, sideways, or reposition however you want. Also, the second phase of skill 2 can restore her HP multiple times, which adds another layer to her sustain, and that's everything about her skill 2. But before we move on to her ultimate, there's something else very important that I want to discuss. If you didn't already know, both Mayene's skill 1 and skill 2 trigger unique effects when they are used in a specific sequence. For example, if you use skill 1 first and then skill 2, a special interaction is triggered. Similarly, if you use skill 2 first and then skill 1, it triggers another unique effect. And next, I'm going to break down exactly what those effects are. The first sequence happens when you use the first phase of her skill 1, and then instantly cast skill 2. When you do this correctly, Mayene performs a smooth chain of strikes that deals multi-phase damage and also restores her HP. And make sure you really do press skill 2 instantly. The window to trigger this special effect is extremely short. If you wait too long and skill 2 returns to its normal state, using it will only trigger the standard flip/kick effect instead of the special combo. The second sequence works the opposite way. If you first use the first phase of her skill 2, and then immediately cast skill 1, Mayene will blink behind the target and deliver a spinning kick that knocks the enemy back. And if the target dies from this combo, she also restores HP and regains 1 strength charge. These are the special effects her skills trigger when used in the correct order. But here's something very important. To activate these special effects, you must always use the first phase of the skill first. If you already used both phases of a skill, you can no longer trigger the sequence effect afterward. And since we're talking about special mechanics, here's a bush scouting trick that many players don't know about. Whenever Mayene uses the first phase of her skill 2, a small yellow circle briefly appears around her, and there is no enemy hiding nearby. That yellow circle will disappear instantly. But if there is an enemy hiding nearby, then that yellow circle will last for a while. The detection range of this yellow circle is roughly equal to the distance of 2 flashes, meaning you can check a surprisingly large area without face-checking a bush and risking getting jumped. And that's all about it. Now let's move on to her ultimate. Whenever you use her ultimate, she instantly refreshes both her skill 1 and skill 2. Their cooldowns completely reset on the spot, And if both of her skills are already holding 2 strength charges, then after activating the ultimate, they will temporarily increase to 3 charges, giving her 1 extra stored charge to work with. This extra charge lasts for 10 seconds, because after casting her ultimate, Mayene enters a special serious state that also lasts for 10 seconds. While in this mode, she gains bonus movement speed and receives 50% slow effect reduction. And here's an interesting detail. The sprint spell in this game gives the exact same benefits, the same duration, and a 50% slow reduction. So if Mayene takes sprint and activates both sprint and her ultimate together, she completely negates slow effects. Yes, 100%. For example, she can literally walk or dance through huge AoE slow fields like Princess Frost's ultimate without being affected at all. And that's everything you need to know about her ultimate. Now let's look at the recommended settings for her. As for the optimal settings for Mayene, there are only a few basic adjustments you truly need to make, and the rest can be set according to your personal preferences. The first and most important setting is to set your auto-chase distance to close range. This is essential because Mayene frequently dashes in and out during fights, and long or standard chase distance can easily drag you into dangerous situations you never intended to enter. The second setting, one you probably already use, is to set your basic attack target priority to absolute lowest health, which actually works well with one of her combos that I'll explain later. And honestly, these are the only essential adjustments you must make. Everything else depends on how you personally like your controls to feel, but if you're still unsure or prefer not to experiment with various configurations, you can simply copy my Mayene settings, which I'll show you now.
Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Keep my head up when I act, head up, that's a fact. Never looking back, I'ma keep myself on track. Keep my head up, staying strong, always moving on. Feel I don't belong, tell my thoughts to move along. Push myself to be the best, die with no regrets. Live with every breath, see my message start to spread. And I had so many dreams, then you hit your teens. Life ain't really what it seems, try to find out what it means. Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep.
As for the best Mayene build, I'm first going to share a damage-focused build, which is mainly for players who already understand Mayene at a basic level, or have played her enough to feel comfortable with her mechanics. In this build, you start with the component item Meteor, then buy cooldown boots so you can have your skills available more often, especially in the early game, where cooldowns tend to feel much longer. After that, you build Axe of Torment, which is one of your core damage items. Then go for Pure Sky for both damage and a bit of sustain. Next, build Starbreaker to increase your armor penetration. After this point, you can swap your cooldown boots for armor boots if the enemy team has a lot of physical damage heroes. And if they have heavy magic damage or multiple crowd control abilities, you can switch your boots to resistance boots instead. If you're new to the game, remember that you can switch your boots once for free, without needing to sell the first pair. After all that, you can build Siegebreaker to further increase your damage output. And depending on the enemy team, if they're dealing heavy physical damage, you can switch your last item to Ominous Premonition, and if they have a lot of magic damage dealers, then go with Succubus Cloak instead. Next, let me share a build that's more forgiving than the one I just discussed. This setup is mainly for beginners who are trying Mayene for the first time. It provides much better sustain and gives you more room for mistakes so you don't end up becoming a feeding machine for your team. As for the Arcana setup, you can use this same Arcana page on both builds. And that's all about her builds. I'm not telling you to stay fixated on these specific items. You can always adjust them based on the situation, your matchup, your team comp, or even future patch notes and updates. Now let's move on to her combos. Finally, we're going to discuss her combos, the most important aspect of Mayene, and don't worry, I'm going to break down each and every combo in full depth. But before I share her full advanced combos, I want to first teach you the small combination techniques. And after hearing the word small, some of you might underestimate them or be tempted to skip them, but please don't. These small combos, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, and 2, 2, are the foundation of her entire playstyle. They are the building blocks that make every advanced Mayene combo possible. So let's begin with the 1, 1 combo. Mayene's double skill 1 combo works exactly as you expect. She uses the first cast of skill 1 to pull the enemy toward her, and then the second cast lets her leap into the air and smash down on them with a heavy flying kick. Very simple, and I've already explained the basic version of this when we discussed her skill 1 earlier. But here's what most players don't know. The true nature of this downward slam is actually a mini blink or a teleport. As you can see here, Mayene spins in the air and then suddenly teleports to a fixed landing point right above her target. And this blink teleport has very high priority in the game's logic. This means that once the teleport is triggered, the landing position will never change, even if she gets crowd controlled or knocked away before landing. For example, if Mayene is about to smash down on her target but an enemy pushes her away with CC, she will still teleport back to that original landing point and execute her flying kick. She can literally blink across a surprisingly long distance after being knocked back. This is why skills such as Lubin's knockback from his skill 2, Gon and Mo's knockback on skill 1, Kui's hook pull, and many other displacement effects cannot cancel her landing. Her 1-1 combo will always hit, but like everything else in this game, every advantage comes with a weakness. Because the 1-1 combo is a must-hit with a fixed landing point, its biggest downside is that enemies can see where you're going to land. The landing spot becomes obvious to them, so if they simply walk away before you land, the guaranteed hit instantly becomes a guaranteed miss. You'll slam onto an empty spot, wasting your strength and losing a huge amount of pressure. Now let me share a flash trick related to this combo. Earlier, while explaining her skill 1, I already taught you 2 flash tricks, but this one is different. It's called the backstep flash technique, and I intentionally saved it for the combo section to keep it detailed. You already know that when you use the first phase of her skill 1, Mayene pulls the target toward her. So when an enemy is hovering too close to your tower, trying to pick you up or threaten your teammates, you can instantly use your skill 1, and right as the pull is about to happen, you flash backward. This extends the pull range and drags the enemy deep into your tower's range. When done correctly, this technique almost guarantees a kill during team fights or tower defense. But be careful, not flashing too fast or too late is extremely important. If your timing is off even slightly, the trick fails, and you'll either waste your flash for nothing or, worse, give the enemy a free escape window, and I think that's enough for the 1-1 combo. Well, the second small combo is 1-2, and I already explained it in the special effects section earlier. In this sequence, Mayene first grabs the enemy with the initial cast of her skill 1, and then immediately follows up with skill 2. When done correctly, this triggers a smooth, flowing chain of strikes that deals multiple instances of damage in rapid succession while simultaneously recovering her HP. Also, the final hit of this sequence, the flying knee, will knock the enemy backward, giving you a small positional advantage and CC here. The third small combo is 2-1, and I've already explained how it functions in the special effects section. In this sequence, Mayene first performs the initial jump from her skill 2, and then instantly teleports behind the target to unleash a spinning kick. What you really need to notice here is that if the spinning kick kills an enemy hero, both her skill 1 and skill 2 will be fully refreshed, and she will recover HP once. But if the spinning kick kills only a minion or a jungle monster, then instead of a full cooldown reset, both skill 1 and skill 2 will have only half of their cooldown restored. This is why, in team fights, lane duels, or small jungle skirmishes, the 2-1 combo becomes an extremely powerful finisher. Whenever you see a low HP enemy, use this combo to secure the kill and take advantage of the cooldown refund it offers. With the reduced cooldown, you can immediately use the same combo again on another low HP target, and in the best case scenarios, you can keep kicking infinitely as long as you consistently execute this combo on dying enemies. However, there is another important detail that people often overlook about this combo. When you start practicing it yourself, you'll quickly realize that you cannot freely control the direction of her kick. Sometimes Mayene kicks the target backward, and sometimes forward, which can look confusing at first. But the explanation is actually very simple. The direction of her kick depends entirely on your position before using skill 1. If Mayene is positioned in front of the enemy before the kick triggers, then she will swap positions with the target and the kick will send them in the direction of your initial position. But if Mayene is behind the enemy before the kick triggers, then the kick will send the enemy forward instead. This is why sometimes the kick looks unpredictable, but once you understand this positional rule, you can control it exactly the way you want. Because of this, the 2-1 combo becomes an excellent tool for isolating enemy damage dealers. You can deliberately position yourself so that the spinning kick sends the enemy carry straight toward your teammates, making them extremely easy to burst down. And if your position isn't ideal, you can always use flash to quickly adjust yourself before the spinning kick activates, something like this you can see on the screen. And by doing so, you'll be able to direct the enemy exactly where you want them to go. The fourth small combo is 2-2, and it works like this. In the first phase, Mayene flips forward, and in the second phase she jumps toward the enemy and kicks them. After the kick, she rises into the air, and during this airborne state she gains super armor, which, as I mentioned earlier, means she cannot be interrupted by most forms of crowd control, though she can still take damage. She also restores 15% of her missing HP while airborne. When she finally lands, The landing position depends entirely on the direction you're holding your joystick. Another extremely important detail is that while Mayene is airborne, she can still use her spells. This means that if you want to escape a dangerous situation, you can use flash mid-air to reposition or disengage safely, and the enemy won't be able to stop you at all. There's also something very interesting that many players don't know that. If you use Mayene's 2-2 combo and then immediately follow it up with 1-1, she performs a full slam into the ground at the end of the sequence. After this heavy landing, she finishes with a spinning spiral kick. You can see it clearly here. She twists her body and delivers this extra spinning strike, and it also deals damage. Once the spiral kick animation ends, you can immediately chain a basic attack to add 2 fast extra hits of damage onto the target. It's an extremely efficient way to squeeze out more damage, and since it doesn't cost you anything extra, you should always use it whenever possible. Another thing to note is that the spiral kick can be cast while moving, and you can even pair it with flash for creative repositioning or burst potential. But there's one important warning. If you have auto attack enabled in your settings, please disable it. Auto attacks interfere with the timing and animation of the spiral kick and will almost always mess it up. So if you want this combo to stay smooth and consistent, make sure auto attack is turned off. Now let's move on to the big or advanced combos of Mayene. The first one we have is 2-2-1-1-3-1-2. The structure of this combo is actually very simple once you understand the small combos I explained earlier. You begin with 2-2, then immediately follow it with 1-1. After that, you use your ultimate to refresh all your skills, and then you finish by using 1-2 to chase down the enemy. And of course, you can also incorporate flash into this combo whenever you need to initiate or dive the enemy carry. Here's how it looks in an actual fight. You start with the 2-2 combo, which gives you super armor so you can walk straight through the enemy front line without getting interrupted. This lets you reach the carry safely. Once you're close enough, you use 1-1, and right after that you flash to reposition instantly. Then use your skill 3 to refresh all your cooldowns, followed by 1-2 to stick onto the enemy and continue dealing damage. Even if the enemy has flash, escaping this full combo is extremely difficult. As you can see, this advanced combo is really just a combination of all the small combos you've already learned. The second advanced combo is 1-2-1-2-3-1-2, and in this combo you're essentially performing the small 1-2 combo 3 times in a row. This one is mainly used when you want to apply continuous crowd control on the enemy without giving them a chance to breathe. It's a pure stick to your target and never let them walk away type of combo, especially effective against enemies who lack mobility or have already wasted their dash skills. The last and third advanced combo is 1-1-2-2-3-1-2. In this combo, you start with the 1-1 small combo and immediately follow it up with a flash to close the distance on the enemy squishy. Once you're close enough, you use the 2-2 small combo, and then you finish the sequence with the 1-2 combo to secure the kill. However, to be completely honest, Mayene doesn't really rely on fixed combos in actual matches. Instead, you should adapt and combine those smaller combos depending on the situation. For example, if the enemy is low HP, you should just use the 2-1 combo, since it lets you reset your cooldowns and continue chaining your attacks. Flexibility matters far more than strictly memorizing one long combo. And that's all for this video, lads. I hope this guide was helpful and that you learned something new today. If you're planning to main Mayene, then I genuinely believe this is the best breakdown you can watch right now. And if you found this video or anything I shared in it useful, then please consider both liking and hyping this video up. Share it with your friends and partner, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel to join my amazing W subscribers family and for more awesome content. You can also drop any questions you have about Mayene in the comments, and if you're on Instagram, feel free to give me a follow there as well. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, bye and love y'all.